Hey guys, happy birthday to the channel as of yesterday. I've been around all by my lonesome for a year.
Oh, happy birthday for the channel.
Yep, my very, very first video, the one on whether or not Ray Comfort, I think it was, does Ray Comfort have the cure for racism, was the very first video I ever did. Because JACandQuill decided to post a Ray Comfort article, a Living Waters article about Black Lives Matter, and it was a hot topic at the time. Holy shit, Ikeda, are you kidding me?
And yes, the lights are back, so Ikeda, give me a light color. And by the way,
$100 from Ikeda Hakubi. Welcome back, Jen. Apparently somebody's very excited to see you.
Finish what you were saying, because I have to tell you about the light debacle.
I am wow. I'm just kind of in shock. How do you even well, yeah, so as per usual, Jen and I split whatever Google lets us keep 50-50, so half of that's going to Jen.
I have to turn
Jen
my cam light on, so I'm listening, but I'm cleaving.
But like I was saying, the very first video I ever did on this channel was Ray Comfort's Cure for Racism, because JACandQuill posted this article on Twitter from Living Waters about Black Lives Matter. And he was basically denigrating and saying, well, you know, we need to, like, stop talking about race because, you know, God is the cure for racism. The Bible's the cure for racism. And I'm like, what?
Bro.
So, funny, though, channel birthday is yesterday. My birthday is tomorrow.
Yes, so, it is. Happy birthday. Sorry, my camera's crooked.
Don't wish me a happy birthday because it's the big 3-0. So, like, as somebody born ACAB, I officially no longer matter.
I feel so bad. Eat a dick, bitch. It's the big 3.
Okay, tell society.
I can't even remember 30. Fuck off. Okay.
You might not be able to remember 30, but like for me, I'm not in my 20s anymore. And as everybody knows, the media teaches every single AFAB person that we stop mattering after 29. Like you don't matter again until you're grandma, right? Like.
No, I matter because I have a child.
Oh yeah, well you're a mother. I can't be a mother, so you know what? I'm not even I don't even get to be a grandma. Like I guess maybe I can be like the Indian old wise woman or something, but like that'd be about all I could do because I can't have kids.
We can well if my kid ever decides to have kids.
That glitched out. I'm trying to is it showing up glitched out for you guys? Like it's showing up like half cut off. Nope, it's showing up fine for them, but it's showing up half cut off on my screen.
It looks good on my
it says herpy birthday and hi Jen, I haven't met you yet. So Staniel apparently has never seen a coalition before.
Yes, and you need to pick a light color. Why is my fucking damn it.
We have so many new viewers. There's been so freaking much growth
on
the channel. And since we have so many new viewers, do you want to go over what the coalition is since it's been over a month?
You
since
do that while I fix this bullshit.
So Jen is from the channel The Wind Down. Jesus, you guys are insane. Variance with the $100 super chat. Second one
Variance, yo, what the fuck?
The two biggest supporters of this channel, man. You guys are amazing. Fire colors, orange, yellow, red. Hey, we got a color for one of them. And here's to an even 100. Love you both. I've been missing y'all's angry, frustrated rants. I've been going through some harsh mental things, and this is def great for my health. Also, Aliakai High Priestess is an acceptable title for post 30.
Okay, so I was like, I want to make sure my nipples aren't out, so I'm gonna sit here like this while that comment is up real quick.
All right, guys, we all aboard. We're already on the boob train to Memory Land. Jen has declared it so.
Yeah, but I have walleye titties from this fucking camera right now. What the fuck?
Hey, at least your face is currently bigger.
Shit. This pisses me off now.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with the show, Jen and I started this show as the Xenia Bridge originally. We started it as an atheist and polytheist allyship show, but after Jen transitioned her channel more towards politics, we transitioned it to, we built the coalition, now let's fight, the Xenia Coalition, talking about political topics that are relevant to both atheists and pagans, primarily progressive stuff, current events, that sort of thing. However, American Folkism, we've been seeing a lot of dumb shit.
Fuck that. This shit's political too. Real quick though. Hold on, I gotta pull up that name again. My memory's still not fully back, everybody. Staniel, we need a light color from you.
Yeah, so let's explain this. The $200 super chat. Anybody with a super chat over $10, or over. No, it's over $5. $5 and up. Yep, $5 and up super chats. You guys get to pick light colors. Jen gets to change the background of her lights. We always set a number that we can do per show. I hadn't even gotten to the number, and y'all are so freaking chomping at the bit. I have not. Like we hadn't gotten there. Normally we take a few minutes to start before we set how many we want to do. So we normally do, since we have 5-minute intervals, and you get what? You get. Oh my God, Fishy! Melida says, my body feels like it's about to give out after 2 marches today. Glad to see you two are back. Trans flag colors, please. All right, we've got trans flag colors next. And Fishy
Happy
with
Pride, everyone. Happy Pride. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. You've got 2 queer people hanging out together. I am poly all the things. I am gender fluid, bisexual, polyamorous.
I'm cis, but queer in every other way.
Fishy Lawn Gnome, absolutely insane $80 super chat. Welcome back. Also, happy birthday. And also, Wolf sent me. Also, Red. So, and John says, hey girls, love ya. I'm broke. LOL.
You know what? For my welcome back. And John has been such a long time viewer and contributor.
John was our very first $100 super chat.
Exactly. Ever. So John, pick a fucking color, because you were our very first $100 super chat. You stuck with us through everything. So.
Ikeda says, we want to eat money at Jen because she is a
former.
That's a callback. That's a fan callback right the fuck there.
Wow.
JD Hall says, happy birthday, $10 super chat.
I already know
Ikeda, you need another color. JD,
I already know Ikeda wants red. JD, we need a color from you too. So, the light debacle.
All right, so we need to set how many of these we're doing. We got to get that out of the way first.
You're the numbers person. You do that.
I'm the numbers person.
I just press buttons.
Person? You're the one who does the lights. Why do I have to do all the math?
Because I just press buttons. Like, I can't concentrate on that much.
Oh my God. Welcome back, guys. This is the level of professionalism you can expect here. Well, let's see. We can technically have up to 12 for an hour. We usually go for an hour and a half. So we're going to say 16 slots because we're almost 10 minutes into the show. So we got 16 slots.
No, hold on.
How many of them are filled already? Staniel says, I can't figure out how to change the color.
Just type any color you want.
Type what color you want.
In the chat.
And if we run 5-minute timers for each $5 super chat that comes in with a color, and that's how we do. Carbuckle says, happy birthday. Welcome back, Red. Xenia Flower says...
Wait. Okay, hold up. I'm losing track here. Hold the fuck on. All right, we're missing one from JD.
Yeah, we need JD. So we're holding your spot, JD. Let us know what color you want.
Excuse me. All right.
Samwise, $20 super chat says happy birthday.
Y'all doing this shit too fast. God damn it. Fuck.
Samwise, we need a color from you too. Wolf says awoo. Hi, welcome, Wolf.
Hi, Wolf. Okay. Carbuncle wants a ride. Okay.
Apparently, 103 people are very excited that you're back.
Hold on. Xenia, we need a color from you. Sam the Wise, we need a color from you.
Lex, Sarcastic Valet, and Staniel gave us a second super chat, red or royal purple, damn it.
All right. I will try my best at purple.
Lex says happy birthday, $5 super chat. So, I think, how many slots do we even have?
Hold the fuck up, y'all. Hold the whole ass fuck up.
John, thank you so much for becoming a channel member. Peace and love. Welcome to channel membership. And $5 super tap from Jail. Happy birthday. Also, we missed you, Jen. I hope you were doing well. Also, your hair is freaking adorable today.
Thank you.
Yeah, Samwise, welcome to channel membership.
Okay, we've got 10 super chats. We have 2 missing colors. We've got 1 missing from JD, 3 missing colors. Missing from JD, from Xenia, and Sam.
Holy crap.
And
JL. That was
the fuck
Jail.
God, Jail, sorry. Sorry, I love you.
That was a lot. You guys are ridiculously generous. Holy crap. Thank you so much. We barely even got down to the topic because we've been handling super chats.
Does that fucking background look crooked, or is it fucking me? Am I losing my mind?
No, it's you. You're fine.
Whatever. All right.
So I'm running the $5. I'm running the $5 timer because we're almost at 10 minutes, and you know what? Like that, I can be okay with that. I can. My compulsion is going to be fine with that.
All right. We'll rock
let's tell the story about the light debacle, and then we can start defining. Then we can start by defining folkism for all the newbies who haven't seen my video on it yet.
So what the fuck did I have? The C by GEs was the original ones that I have, right? And they're like, oh, they're the greatest fucking thing since, fucking power tool mounted dildos, right? Cool. And they were like on a great fucking sale at Best Buy, so I fucking get it. 6 months in, these bitches stop responding, like, completely.
There is no
Fucking
topic,
completely.
only super chats.
There's no topic, only super chats.
Speaking of super chats, we have another one. Also teal because reasons. I love you guys.
I can try for teal. I don't know if we have teal on these.
Okay, guys, Jen is back. That means you're going to have every week. Don't get caught up in FOMO. Like, y'all are being super generous, but this is every week, and Jen always does this. This is a whole thing.
So, these motherfucking lights, right? I'm sitting here, I'm fucking switching lights out, I'm fucking different.
Oh my God, Wolf.
Jesus Christ, Wolf!
$100 super chat from Wolf. Good frickin' gods. I sent my wolf pack to drop love on this video. Missing you, Jen, and glad to see the show back. Happy birthday, Allie. Love y'all. Appreciate all the love and support you two give me. It means the world that you both are awesome. Also, red colors, duh, a woo, sub, please. Yes, guys, go check out Wolf the Red's channel.
I love you so fucking much.
If you guys have not subscribed to him somehow, which he's getting almost to be as big as I am, if you go to my channel page in a separate tab, stay on the video, he's actually on my recommended creators list on my channel page. So go check him out. He's amazing.
So I get these fucking things, right? Because it's like fucking Christmas sale. I'm like, ooh, I could have... My kid's been fucking harassing me for color changing lights. These fucking bitches just straight fucking stopped. Like, I spent a good 8 hours that
Wolf
day.
says like the video, y'all.
When they fucking died. I was running light bulbs through every fucking lamp in my house trying to get them to connect. I said, fuck this. Got the TP links, and these bitches are fucking great. Like, these bitches are fucking amazing.
Oh, we have another super chat.
All right, hold on. We got...
Happy birthday, Wolfpack and Turtle Army Squad Up from Ewan.
JD,
is that Ian Harrington? Ian, if I'm mispronouncing your name, let me know how to pronounce it in the chat, please. Samwise with another $50 super chat was told by Wolf to show some love.
I think we only have like 2 more slots
color.
left. We've got like 2 more slots left. We're still missing JD. We're still missing Jail.
Waffle Apocalypse says happy birthday, Aliakai.
We're still missing Jail. We're still missing Sam. So we've got like 2 more slots left open. Damn. Okay.
Are we gonna get to finish the story or the super chat?
But that's the story. So I said, fuck it. Right? But my stingy ass, right? You know, I still got
Jail says purple and JD says pink.
Okay. So, you know, I still got them fucking C by GEs in my closet because I'm like, holy shit, what if these burn out and I need something quick?
Oh my God. Now that's stuck in my head. Thanks, variants.
Okay. JD wants. All right. Still missing Sam. Sam's got another one. Sam's got one from before, if I'm not mistaken. Sam's got 2.
Yes, Sam has 2.
Hold on. So we got... Hold on.
Variant says, I am the purest Hellion. I now have that stuck in my head. We
got 3 more spots.
Thank you so much for putting that in my head. That is a wonderful way to start the show.
Can somebody throw my fucking link in the chat since y'all want to jump on shit?
It's in the description of the video. Go sub to Jen. Jen needs more subscribers. She is woefully undersubbed. She was bigger than my channel when my channel started, and now I'm 3 times her size.
And then I fell off.
All right, so let's talk folkism. Let's
talk what it's about.
So the wonderful Ocean Keltoy and I actually worked with Wolf the Red together on a gigantic, for lack of a better way to put it, middle finger from the pagan community to folkism. It was one of the very, very first bar crawls we ever did. And all of us, including, if I recall correctly, What the Craft, who is another excellent YouTuber who falls off the face of the planet at random, but has amazing content when she does make it. And Celery as well also created videos about folkism in their own religions. And so Ocean and I stayed up late into the night for several nights straight trying to coin a proper definition, because folkism is something that it happens in the pagan community and everybody knows about it, but it's so nobody went to properly define it per se prior to us doing this work. So there was a lot of debate where people would say, label themselves regionalist or folkish, and they try to get out of being folkists. Yeah, we'll get into regionalism in a second because you're going to get a kick out of this. Regionalism is folkism, but without the supposed genetic component. It actually uses the barrier of not living on the land itself to keep people out of the religion. Hey, look, we've got our first timer going off for the lights.
Did they miss the 3rd grade lesson on what defines a region?
We'll get there. So, Ocean and I, we spent a shitload of time, and we actually got feedback from several other people, including Wolf, to get this definition together. And we came up with, folkism is the belief that ancestral ties give benefit, privilege, or access to a religious tradition, especially in lieu of a living culture. Now, we both tackled this topic from completely different angles. Ocean tackled it from a historical angle, talking a lot about the Nazi movements and like how all of that sort of came to be there and how a lot of those attitudes stemmed from there. And I talked about why a lot of folkists like to use Native Americans as an excuse because Native American closed traditions is a protection thing against colonialism. And so I talked a little bit about why that was and how folkism is not actually an inherent part of Native culture, or at least it wasn't historically, but it became a part of Native American culture because of the eugenics programs. But not all natives actually agree with folkism. Like, not all natives actually agree that you have to have blood in order to practice. Most of us think that you need to have culture. Like, you need to integrate into our cultures in order to be a part of our faiths. So, Jamie Alexandra says, Canadian $2 super chat. Happy birthday. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So,
and
that's what folkism
fun fact,
is.
Both mine and Allie's birthdays are in June, so everything just kind of blends. I'm a lot older than you, so
God's forbid we mention your birthday when it's close to the show.
I am on my 10th, 29th birthday. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're hitting another one of the big ones, aren't you?
Not this year, next year.
That's what I'm saying. You're coming up on that, aren't you?
And that was my scare. That was when I was like 22, 40 was my scary age.
Thank you
and
guys.
I was like, 50 doesn't look so bad.
I thank you guys all so much for the birthday wishes. By the way, birthdays are a hard time for me. Like, y'all who've been on the channel for a long time know that I didn't have the best upbringing, and so like birthdays were never a thing growing up. They were not a time for celebration for me. And so like seeing this massive amount of support blows me away. It really does, because like I don't like the fact that I have a birthday. It makes me depressed every year. And I got hornswoggled by a friend into freaking going out for my birthday tomorrow. He basically bought the tickets to the Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium, like, without telling me, and was like, we're going, because that's pretty much the only way to get me to do anything on my birthday. So that's happening now. Happy birthday, Leakai. Pass on the lights color or green, whichever.
So since it's Allie's birthday, Allie, what color you want?
You know my favorite color is blue.
Blue. Oh, I'll do the pretty dark blue one for you. That one's like super.
Yeah, that's so
dark.
pretty.
It's dark, but it's like royal rich blue.
So Jen and I got to talking because the thing is, but first off, folkists get lost on my channel a lot. I deal with a lot of, especially American folkists of Greek descent.
So think of it this way: folkism is a pretty word for
spiritual racism.
Kind of, but it mainly deals with white people.
It mostly does. There are, however, the Celery covered that there are folkists of like other, races and ethnicities.
But when it comes down to America,
it's mostly that.
It's white people. Yeah,
it's white people. Staniel Dossboot says, and here's 10 more because I feel like it. Staniel, make sure you can pay for shit. Hold on. Like, take care of yourself first. Thank you so much.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Sam is still missing one. So we've got like 1 or 2 open. Sam, get your shit together.
So Jen and I have been talking because, again, folkists get lost on my channel a lot. They get into my comments. They complain about my, they always contrast that there's only folkism and universalism, and it's like, well, universalism is actually something completely different. But okay. But Jen has been chomping at the bit to talk with me because Jen is an atheist ally. Like, Jen is not. Right. Like, Jen is not also a pagan, even though everybody on Earth thinks she's going to become one at some point.
Although somehow I am Freya incarnate.
So, we have been talking at length.
Hold on, Sam, did I miss it? I'm sorry.
Do the pink vent lols.
Okay, Sam. Pink, okay. Because I saw your second one, but I didn't see your first one. So, okay. Pink, got it. Okay. We got a lot of pink tonight. Cool. Pink looks good on me. Thank you. Okay. So we got 2 more spots open.
Aw, Staniel. Yeah. Staniel says that they were allowed $40.
Oh, thank you.
But they love
Damn,
us.
Y'all know how to make a bitch feel welcome home, man.
Yeah, welcome. This is your home. Like, there's a reason your ass is here and not on your own channel first.
That's just because I'm like, what the fuck do I got time for? We gonna do this. Orange.
So
hold on, I'm in the middle of a goddamn show. I'll do it after.
Children. It's not a coalition without the kid interrupting at least once.
I was yelling at the cat.
Holy crap, you guys, though. That is incredible fucking donations.
Yeah.
It's got to be over $500, like, within the first 20 minutes of the show. I cannot believe how incredibly generous you guys are.
Seriously, y'all are fucking amazing.
Akeda, $5 super chat. Kata, you need to buy food at some point. If Jen ever goes full pagan, she is well equipped with offerings for the Volsi. Red. Also, that sassy ass from the baby dragon. He is your child.
Y'all heard that? I'm in the middle of a goddamn show. I'll make it after. Y'all heard that, right? Every fucking day of my life, that's what I get. It's me. He's almost as tall as me now too, so it's not even like a mini me. It's like a life-size fucking version.
Tempest, another $100 super chat. Good gods. Happy birthday. I'm late, but Wolf told me to tell you he sent me, even though I got messages from all the Discords, but we can pretend it was all because of him.
Tempest gets the last spot. So Tempest, what color?
Tempest, let us know what color you want. Also, Wolf needs more credit than he ever gets in this community. Wolf is a stalwart background of this community, and I am proud to call him my friend.
Wolf is fucking Wolf Papa.
And John the Apostate says, somehow I've yet to find a folkist group in my specific faith tradition, despite it probably being very susceptible to it, and that makes me scared. They may
just be YT supremacists.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about why you wanted to talk about this topic, because this was your idea.
I for months now, since y'all started talking about it.
Also, y'all enjoying the better mic again? Because I haven't been on this one in a while.
That shit is like sex right there. Jesus Christ, it's smooth as fuck, yo. That is like perfect Astroglide sex voice. Fucking smooth.
I'm gonna give Ocean all of the credit for this. He suggested the setup, and Akeda gets the other half the credit because he's the crazy fuck that paid for it.
That is Astroglide sex fucking smooth right there.
I missed Jen's profanity so much. It
just nourishes the fucking soul, right?
Thank you so much.
So for months, I'm trying to wrap my fucking head around this shit because I'm watching y'all's channel, right? And I'm watching everybody's shit, and I'm seeing all these comments from people in the United States, and I'm like,
that's the majority of them, right? Like,
right. That's like the majority of this shit. That's like the majority of this shit is fucking focused and fucking like just looking at the fucking state of the country, and they all talking about, fucking state of your kin and fucking protect the white race and shit. And I'm like, from Americans, y'all, and I'm like,
Kare warrior.
I'm like, all right, so are you first generation on this land? Like, for real, are you first generation here? Then how the fuck are you gonna fucking come to me or anybody and be like racial fucking purity?
But Jen, their skin tone.
Y'all ever seen Johnny Cash's wife?
Shh, here's one more.
First wife.
Daniel, god dang it.
Y'all ever seen Johnny Cash's wife?
Don't you get in trouble.
Y'all ever seen her?
White is neither a color or a race. Technically, that is correct.
White is the absence of color. It's like, you fucking shit dick. White is the absence of color, first off. That's
actually, on a technical level, I'm gonna actually you. Actually, white is what happens when all wavelengths of light that you can see as a human are together.
It's an absence of fucking whatever. It's an absence of fucking
it's actually all of the colors, and black is when all the colors are revealed
right now.
Yeah, white is technically, when you see white, it means that all the different spectrums that you can see are being reflected by whatever it is that you're seeing, versus black is when all of them are being absorbed by what you're seeing.
Whatever.
So white is actually all of the colors.
No, but like they start screaming like racial purity and shit and fucking heritage purity and shit, and I'm like, we need a GoFundMe to start fucking Ancestry.com memberships. Because y'all are just fucking stupid. Like, if you are here in
Carbuncle, I feel your pain.
If you are here,
I have this exact same problem.
In the fucking United States, you are not racially pure. If your fucking family's been in the United States more than fucking 2 generations, your ass ain't fucking racially pure nothing. You're about as pure as my fucking virginity, which is non-existent. Pink, blue, and white. All right. Because, hold on, all right. You say some shit, because I got to figure this out.
All right, so here's the other thing. Like, Jen's actually right here. The majority of white people, and I'm saying this WYPEPO because I'm not
we
saying
don't want to get fucking thrown out off.
Yeah, and I'm not
shit,
saying
I turned the lights off. Sorry.
Whoops. A coyote, thank you so much. $50 super chat. I haven't eaten money yet. Holy crap, you guys. Good gods. I'm gonna, like, tomorrow, tomorrow, Jen and you and I, holy crap, this is like
y'all making baby Jesus cry.
In one thing. Yeah, y'all are so freaking generous. Like, I don't even know how to process how generous you guys are being. You're gonna make me cry. You guys actually are gonna make me cry. And you know how hard it is for me to take gifts of any kind from anybody ever.
Seriously.
Like, I yell at people who give me things. Thank you guys so much. And the only reason I'm even half okay with it, the only reason I'm even half and not like yelling at you guys is because Jen's also here, and like I know that we're gonna split it, so at least I know that there's gonna be some good that happens. But like it's not all just gonna be wasted on me.
Fuck, right?
Yeah, fuck. You guys are so incredibly generous.
So I did when my son was born.
Giuliano actually has a similar story to you, actually, because you were going to talk a little bit about your own ancestry.
Right,
all my family from the same part of Italy that was colonized and invaded by the entire Mediterranean basin. Oh my god, more super chats.
Right? So, all right. Oh, go ahead, wait. Let's read these off.
Okay, when the super chat hits and the money flows, there's not much you can do. Sit down, hold on, and ask for colors, because here's some brand new news. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for this? And when the money hits, god damn it!
Why do I want to sing Afternoon Delight?
And Gar Game is Gold says, there's a really bad Christian propaganda series called Pagan Invasion. You, Ocean, and Wolf the Red need to do a Pagans React to it. That would be lol.
Fuck, can we get the atheists on this? Since, you know, they insist on calling themselves fucking heathens anyway.
You know what the pagan invasion is? The fact that all of us even exist at all, right? Like, the fact that any of us has built any kind of following on this hell platform is the pagan invasion. Can I get a here?
So... I
also trans rights from chats for Pride Month. Just I need to fill I need to fill the chat with trans rights.
Which, by the way, sneak peek, the next video, which will be coming out Tuesday, is about kink at Pride.
Yeah, that's been a whole discourse, but we're not going to get into that discourse now. We got our own to talk about.
Yeah, I'm going to be very angry about kink at Pride. Tune in to see which side I fall on.
That's
right.
exciting.
Y'all fucking know anyway.
Y'all fucking know. Dennis talked about kink on my channel regardless of how I felt about it.
I'm sitting here trying to fucking clickbait shit. Y'all fucking
Ikeda says, I'm 1/4 Armenian and who knows what else.
So to follow on that. So I did this fucking ancestry thing because my mom...
And Ikeda super chats trans rights.
My mom's side of the family doesn't really know a lot of shit. They were... And this is where the funny shit comes in. They were like, we're Polish. We've always been Polish. I got a funny story for y'all. So I got an aunt, right? My family's Italian. From Italy. From Naples. Italy.
We should probably, for the new folks, we should probably explain who the Aldriches are.
So, yeah. No, we ain't even talking about them.
We're talking about the other side of your family.
we ain't gonna talk about them. No, we're talking about the Italian side. This is how fucking convoluted
Variance is on a song lyric kick with these super chats. I'm gonna let you take that one.
No. How dare you? No. So, this is how fucking stupid and convoluted that people get when it comes down to pride in their race and their heritage, especially with their religion.
With the $4 super chat. It didn't come through though.
We're from Naples. I want to say I'm 3 generations in. And
Blair,
my dumbass motherfucking aunt. This bitch.
Lana with the $50 super chat. My family is Scottish, Swiss, Irish on both sides, descend from nobility, trans pride. Been having a bad week and glad to be here to chill. Thank you so much, dear Lana. Another big supporter, actually a longtime patron, and like huge. Like I've had incredible conversations with Tirlana in my patron chat and on Twitter. Like I'm grateful to have you here. Thank you so much.
So this is how fucking stupid people get. My aunt swears. From Italy, y'all. Roman's motherfucking self. That throughout the entire history of time, we've always been Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's think about that.
So what happens before the common era, though? We're moving through these lights. We got new lights.
I may... Every time I buy her a gift, I may may just put a very small soul Invictus sign somewhere. From now on. Right. So I go back and I do this ancestry shit, right? And, one side of my mother's family is...
It depends. Are you asking a historian or a Catholic?
Yeah, exactly. Are you asking a historian or my aunt? So I do this shit, right? And one side of my mother's family is like, we're Polish, we've always been Polish, we're always gonna fucking be Polish, kind of shit, right? So I go back and I go back and I go back and I'm pulling fucking records. And I get the Ellis Island records.
We spontaneously came into the world with a copy of the church-approved Bible in a language we could no longer understand.
So I want to ask y'all, I'm gonna poll the chat. How many people here thinks that the Ellis Island records actually said Poland? How many?
Let's give the chat. Okay, so guys, G if you do, G if you don't think that it says Poland, H if you do.
Yeah.
Right, that of course that would be variance. Nope, we got lots of nopes.
You're right. You know what it came up as? Russian.
Wait, okay, so the chat is the opposite of very H. That's a lot of G's.
Mm-hmm.
WL Boom with the $20 super chat. We are getting a couple minutes in and so much generosity.
Damn,
I'll have to catch the full video later because my internet is out, but I want to say happy birthday and appreciate the work y'all are doing. Thank you so much.
So, actually, Aka's almost there. It said Russian. Why? I found out that my family is from a very small town on the Ukraine? No. Ukrainian. No, not Ukrainian. What's the one in the south? Is it Ukrainian? God damn it. Now I gotta pull up a fucking map. I should have been prepared. Damn it. Hold on, y'all.
You knew this when you told me the story earlier.
I fucking know. And it's out of my fucking head. Yeah, Ukrainian. We're from a very small village right on the Ukrainian border. And throughout the years...
Everybody's like, chat's helping you out already. But
yeah, they're like, Ukraine is in the south. Thank you. And throughout the years, it changed hands. We were... If you want to go back into history, it changed hands between Ukraine, Russia...
Okay, Russian Empire is different. Russian Empire is different than the Soviet Union. Those are two different things.
Yes, exactly. It was Kiev and Rus at one point. But it all came down to who traded hands with who. And Arcurus, god damn it. Orcus Noir.
Orcus Noir, yeah.
The way that they actually escaped Poland was when Russia came in, they wiped everything. They weren't allowed to speak the Polish language. They weren't allowed to teach about their Polish heritage. But they did open up travel within Germany. So she actually said, I'm going on vacation to Germany, and then sailed from Germany. But when she came to the country, they said, what is your country of record? And she said, Russia. So you got my whole family sitting here, right? Now we in a motherfucking war. Because it's like, okay, David, we're not talking about modern times. We're talking about 2-3 generations ago, when Russia would come in, take the land, give it back.
I think David was correcting the person in the chat who said the Russian Empire. Yeah, I don't think David was arguing with you. I think David was clarifying for the chat.
Okay, thank you. But now there's a fucking family war on whether or not we're actually Polish or Ukrainian. Because the borders had moved so many times, it all depends on who you ask. It all depends on when they feel, what they feel, their fam, where they lived, and when the last time they were there, and the historical ties. So now we've got this whole fucking family war about whether or not we're Polish or Ukrainian. However,
generations tend to be about 20 years, MUI.
About 20 years. However, when they came here, there wasn't a very large Ukrainian community, and they had friends and family living in a Polish community in Brooklyn. So they had kind of reabsorbed this
Giuliano, actually, pre the Soviet Union, that is not a meaningless distinction.
It is not, yeah.
We got Variant says, Pride hot, we got him. Runs around in a circle before sliding on my knees. Don't worry, my family has pierogies and kielbasa.
Yo, y'all, once the fucking world gets completely back to normal, we gonna have a get together. I'm gonna make y'all some of my fucking homemade pierogies that I stuff just fucking crazy shit with. So,
I mean, maybe you will.
So, if I don't get stuffed first, but anyway. So now there's this whole fucking war, right?
Oh, there's the thirst.
Yeah, we still on red. So now we got this whole fucking war going into the family about what the fuck they are. So I did further research back more into my mother's line and found out her maiden name is not supposed to be her maiden name. My family were sharecroppers in the South. They were poor. And apparently, the woman who we descended from had 5 children, never named their father, but there were pictures. And it was very clear that these children were of mixed race. Now, obviously, this was the 1700s. She couldn't admit to this. Her kids could have been killed. She could have been killed. Her children's father could have been killed. So she gave them her father's name, and there's that. You wouldn't know that looking at me. I'm white as fuck. I am white as fuck. You wouldn't know that shit.
You'd walk out on a cloudy day and get a sunburn that's...
Well, no, I actually tan because of the Italian. The Italian, I actually tan. But my kid turns into a fucking blister. Like, my kid and my mother turn into a fucking blister. Like, my mother can't stand outside for 5 minutes without, like, literally breaking out into some blisters on her chest. You wouldn't know this. So what's the point of this? You sitting here in America, you've got... My mother's family came here in the 1700s. My father's family came here in the 1620s, before there was 100 years before there was a United States. And what did they do? They all came into these port cities. They all met people, no matter what background. And throughout the years, your whole bloodline is so fucked and muddled that there is no way that you could be anything past a second generation American and claim you're racially or culturally pure anything. It is fucking impossible to turn around and claim that. So I don't understand how these fucking folkists are like, they find this one fucking tiny fucking branch on their fucking 2-branched fucking inbred tree, right? Because it's usually these southern motherfuckers that are like, I know your cousin's fucked to this day. Like, I know you're fucking Roll Tide. I know you're fucking Bama Proud, bitch. So I know you probably picked one, like the one non-incestuous branch on your fucking 3-branch tree and ran with that shit, right? So they see this little fucking branch, whether it be, you know, Scandinavian.
Keep in mind, Jen currently lives in the South.
I live in the South, right? So... But like, look at the culture that you find these folkist motherfuckers from. What do we got, right, y'all? They got these stupid fucking Facebook, I'm a fucking infantryman, or, you know, my fucking wife, my hands look like this, so my wife looks like this. Fucking 5'11".
You broke variants.
I'm sorry.
you broke variants.
But like... Y'all fucking sit here posting shit on fucking Facebook with like badly drawn fucking Grim Reapers and shit, right? They all wearing 5'11" fucking cargo pants. They never fucking signed a day into the military, yet they're running around with fucking BDUs and fucking combat boots on kind of motherfuckers. Like, this is the kind of shit that we see this shit from, right? Yeah, bango twangs intensify, motherfucker. Shenanigans, I'm not far from Kentucky. Fucking trust. Right? Yeah, see, y'all fucking... So it's like, when we see these focused motherfuckers, do you ever see these motherfuckers coming out of shit like Seattle,
North
New
Carolina
York,
here, I get you, Jen.
fucking Baltimore? I ain't gonna say Chicago, because Chicago racist as fuck. We just not gonna... We're not gonna pay attention to Chicago. No, where you see these motherfuckers? They either in the South, fucking their third cousin, because Uncle Daddy told them they're a great fucking match, or they're up in fucking Montana and shit. They up in Montana talking about, we gonna take over a fucking federal building for no ass fucking reason, because somehow Montana makes us a fucking Confederate. Like these are the motherfuckers that you get it from, right? So they find...
Jen, you need to read that.
So they find this one fucking tiny branch, right? That says something like one fucking person was...
Tree speaking banjo.
Sounds like Daytona, right? Like, so they find this one fucking leaf on fucking Ancestry, right? That one person says they're from fucking Sweden or Denmark or fucking Norway or some shit, right? And all of a sudden they're like, I'm so racially pure. Like, no, motherfucker. Like, and then they won't get into the rest of the tree. Because what the fuck is the rest of your tree gonna tell you? What the fuck is the DNA test gonna tell you? You know what my fucking DNA test told my white ass? I'm fucking Iranian. I'm fucking Iranian and Turkish. And then if you really want to get down to it, the entire fucking human race started in Africa. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, all fucking white people are black. Because no, that's fucking bullshit. You know, there's social constructs. There's shit put in place that oppresses people. But you want to sit here and act like just because your cum is white, that's the rest of your fucking blood. And it's fucking not. So how the fuck are you going to sit here?
Oh my god! I need to let the chat stop and appreciate that shit. God damn it!
I'm fucking done, y'all. Like, how you want to sit here in the U.S. and be like, I'm racially pure? That's cherry picking ass shit. And then they gonna sit here, especially fucking pagans, and be like, oh, these fucking Christians cherry picked our shit and they cherry picked their fucking Bible. Why the fuck are you cherry picking?
Press F to pay chat. Press F to pay respects for yourselves.
Why? Why are you sitting here with your stank pussy willow family fucking tree, sniffing the fucking cousin pussy fucking petal leaf off your goddamn tree? No, it don't fucking work that way.
Weaver, no. The only train on this channel is the boob train, and we already took that all the way to Memory Land at the beginning of this show. Like, just saying. Like, and now the chat is effing itself.
And you know what? You know what it is? You know what it is too? And I gotta say this just because I'm a whore. You catch these motherfuckers, because I fucked a few of these motherfuckers. Like, I fucked them and didn't realize that they were these motherfuckers. I've gone down on these motherfuckers. Trust me, just because you come in right, it don't taste right. Start eating some pineapple, motherfucker, because that shit don't taste pure. I taste the Mountain Dew coming out your dick. So don't. Don't do that shit.
Oh my god, you were making it impossible for me to co-host. So, Jen, the reason, guys, that rant was so long, just so you know, is because you haven't heard one in over a month. Wait, that's not what that means.
I broke rules. Like, I fucking can't.
You broke the jab.
You gonna sit here talking about everything about me is pure and white. That shit don't taste pure, motherfucker. I can literally taste the high fructose corn. I can smell the high fructose corn syrup when you drop your pants. Tasting you, that shit tastes like nothing but fucking Mountain Dew and fucking, what is that? What's the one? Monster Energy drinks. That's what that shit tastes like. It tastes like an off-brand Monster Energy drink coming out your dick.
Thank you so much for your super chats, because this shit is my monetization. Jen is back. Oh my god, is this girl? I feel you should taste like menthols and Monster. Right? But let's
and it's like, you better clean your dick up, because they about to ban menthols, bitch. Your dick's gonna be outlawed and it fucking should, okay? Wash it.
All right, Jen, put your
Wash
dick
it and
away.
Drink some fucking water. Thank you.
Put your dick away, Jen. Put your dick away. So, like, let's talk about this, though, a little bit, because, like, we need to talk about race being a social construct.
Yeah. That
kind of thing. Because, like, in America, race means something completely different than it does in Europe. Now, can I get a shout-out for my European fans? Like, can I get a shout-out for anybody from Europe? Race means something a bit different, in part because race as a social construct was created for political power, primarily. And don't worry, we're going to get back to
we're gonna, and we also understand that this isn't like this around the world. We understand that race, the social constructs of race are not the same as they are in America. It's very different than it is in America.
Well, and besides that, like, let's talk also about how the continent of Africa has more fucking genetic diversity in any one country than all white people do, like, all around the freaking world, because there's a bottleneck for the Euro migration and, like, the everything else. Like, in Africa, there has been more genetic diversity and mutations and such in those populations than there has been because of the genetic bottlenecks between Asians, white people, and Native Americans.
And I'm a fuck up a focus day right now.
Tastes like cigar smoke and a superiority complex.
I'm a fuck up a focus day right now. Get a DNA test done.
Yep, and Marrow hit that on the head. Marrow says Europe woo. It's honestly more nationalities and ethnicities. And again, that's why we talked about there's a difference between Polish and Ukrainian, especially if you go back before the Soviet Union.
Right, because, and here's the shit. The woman that came.
All I can see is a Southern yogurt slinger wrapped in a Mountain Dew wrapper smoking a menthol.
When they came, this woman, she was old enough to, she was older. The family that we found, the adults were older, to where they remembered living under Poland, but their children, because
bomb counter is currently slapped in the corner.
It's just passed the fuck out right now. But their children, because teaching Polish heritage and the Polish language and Polish history was outlawed, their children were raised Russian.
The whole chat is slapped in the corner.
It's just like
Jen killed chat.
But
welcome back to the coalition, guys. We're back.
Their children came to the United States culturally Russian.
Because of colonialism.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, because of just Russia and they bullshit.
But I mean, let's talk about what religion is, because even in Hellenism, which, like, you know, cue the screaming from the lost folkists that somehow keep wandering into my chat and occasionally my live chat. Like, I'm gonna get downvotes on this video. Just get it out your systems, guy.
We're gonna change that.
Just get it out your systems, guys. Like, it's okay. You can hate me. Thank you so much for the engagement. The algorithm can't tell the difference, and you won't get recommended my videos anymore. Like, it's okay. You can stop being lost in my comment section and like making it hard on yourself. Like, you don't have to waste your energy, but I appreciate it. 3 times F-bomb equals 3.1 times 10 to the rusty spork.
No. That's a whole fucking no right there. That's nope.
Religion began the majority of like ancient religions. Like, and when we're talking folkism, like I said, we are primarily talking not still living traditions. And by still living tradition, I mean still an essential part of the culture to this day, not their syncretic remnants, because there is a distinct difference. And actually, I am in talks with 2 different people that are Greek from Greece, not just Greek descent, like living over here, Greek from Greece, who are going to be coming on the channel for a weekend interview at some point. We're working on scheduling because time zones are a bitch, to talk about their experiences with trying to recover these ancient bits of culture, because the syncretic remnants are there and they're in the culture, but they mean something else now. And there's a distinct difference between those 2 things.
But it's the fact of, I don't understand how you could be an American, and you know what? It comes from these same motherfuckers that are like,
you missed the best 20 minutes.
Just go back and watch it later, because
you missed the best 20 minutes.
You'll love that shit. But like, these are the same motherfuckers too that are always like, go back to where you came from. My family's been here, fought in the fucking Revolutionary War. Bitch, if your fucking family fought in the Revolutionary War, you're probably not fully fucking white living here this long. How the fuck are you? And here's the shit, especially when it comes down to fucking heathen focus. This is the shit that drives me fucking up walls. Like literally put me on a fucking wall, Jazzy, and fucking drive me up that wall kind of shit, right? Heathen focus are so fucking focused. Holy shit, wow. That was a slip. But they're so focused on, you've got to have Scandinavian blood. Do you, bitch? But besides the one random dude, some bitch 200 fucking years ago fucked and got knocked up and had to marry. That's how you got your name. Do you? How pure is your Scandinavian blood? How pure is yours?
Blair Witch, there's a reason why all my videos are flagged as not for children. There is no innocence on this channel.
I don't understand how any fucking American can sit here and gatekeep a fucking nationality. I don't get it. Because we're so fucking mixed with so much different shit. So many different fucking nationalities. I don't understand. And I'm going to tell you, like Chris Rock said it, whatever you hate is going to wind up in your family. And once they start fucking digging, they're going to find out just how not fucking white they are.
Just don't try to drink anything while watching.
But it's like let's ruin a focus day right here. Let's ruin a fucking white people supremacist day right here. If you are from Europe, you probably have one of the most common genomes, which is something like fucking G20 or some shit. It's something 20. Do you know where that branched from? That branched from L3. Do y'all know where the fucking L3 gene came from? The Middle East and the Caucasus region. It was that migratory period. It was that migration going up from the Middle East through the Caucasus Mountains and coming back around to Europe that created a good 85% of European DNA bloodlines. So tell me again just how fucking white you are. And this shit is what gets me with a lot of fucking Europeans too. When they start talking about, and I crack on this shit when it comes down to Denmark, when it comes down to Sweden, when it comes down to fucking Norway. How they sit here and they discriminate against Muslims constantly, and they're ridiculously fucking xenophobic. And it's like, you wouldn't have your literal genetic makeup if it wasn't for people in the Mideast. You literally wouldn't have your fucking ancestors. That is in you. That is in your blood. And just because you don't look like it doesn't mean that it's not in your blood. So you can't fucking come to me and talk about keeping bloodlines pure. Nobody. No fucking buddy in Europe. Nobody in the fucking United States. Nobody in Canada can give me that shit. Well,
let's slow the gen train down a little bit, because like my rant on this isn't going to be quite as funny. But
hold on, Gaius. What the fuck? I gotta stop Gaius real quick. The Irish were always white. The Irish are always white. And I get real fucking sensitive about this shit because my family was Irish. My family was Irish coming up through that. They were always white, but white people always got to find somebody to hate. So they'll hate on their own to put down, especially when it comes down to colonialism. They were white. But their form of slavery and indentured servitude was very, very different than the transatlantic slave trade. So that's a very hot topic for me to touch. While the Irish, especially in New York, when it came down to the draft riots and everything.
Oh yeah, Gaius is a history geek. It's more about the idea that they were still a lower class of citizens than typical white people.
Right, but they weren't treated like black people. They weren't treated like Hispanics. They could still pass for something else, especially.
This is a very good point. Also, Europeans also reproduced with Neanderthals. Like that's a thing that happened.
But wait.
That's another species.
Let me expand on that. When you've got these folkists, especially when it comes down to these heathen folkists that are so fucking focused on Scandinavian bloodlines and Russian bloodlines tend to bleed in here and there. Now, when you start getting into that region of the world, when you start getting into the Northern European region, when you start going more towards Asia, Western Asia, am I getting this right? Western Asia. You are now bringing in an entirely different species, Denisovians. I think that's how it's pronounced. Me, I have about 4 to 5%. I have more Denisovian DNA in me than I have Neanderthal DNA in me because of where my family was mapped out from. So when you start getting into especially fucking heathen focus, you are now dealing with an entire other species of humanoid, whatever the fuck.
No, well, they're humans, like humanoid. They're all hominids. They're humans.
So you ain't even human, bitch. You ain't even Neanderthal. You some old other shit. So how you gonna sit here and fucking tell me about purity? How?
Freya, I've seen debates on this both ways. Like I tend to like when I was in school for paleontology, like when I started school before I ended up transitioning into my nutrition, they were still considered Homo neanderthalensis. I know sometimes they're considered Homo sapiens neanderthalensis, but there's debate there, and so I tend to err toward the side of the older scholarship until we have enough evidence for the former. Because, for example, lions and tigers can make ligers and tigons. And, even though they're, like, sterile, with human subspecies, they evolved closer.
Did I miss a light?
No, you didn't. Timer's going to go off in 2 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Let's see. White is a designation of exclusion. Exactly, Victoria. Exactly. So,
but
now I want to talk a little bit.
I'm more a completely different subspecies of hominoid than Neanderthal. I'm more that because of the paths that my ancestors took to eventually lead to me.
Giuliano, a lot of the arguments about Neanderthals being a separate species, I don't want to get too deep into this because it's been a long time, but a lot of the argument about them being a separate species has to do with the fact that there are a large number of physiological traits that were different enough between the two species at the time that even though they could interbreed, they would still have been considered radically different. They also organized socially radically different as species.
What they're now studying, especially with Neanderthals, is very much like tigers and lions. A lot of times when they have a liger, it's sterile. So what they're actually studying now is a possibility that when Neanderthals fucked humans, us, Homo sapiens, when Neanderthals fucked Homo sapiens, it may have rendered them sterile. It may have rendered the offspring sterile, which is we
didn't have their DNA if it did render the offspring sterile, so we're not entirely sure that would have been the case. They might have branched off the tree at close enough that we could still interbreed because there are, for example, fish on either side of lakes that to the extreme opposite end they can't interbreed, but in between there are sort of half remnants because the way that evolution works.
David, I was part of the Human Genome Project, which was now shut down. They're not taking any more, but I actually got really lucky. I was part of the Human Genome Project when Nat Geo picked it up, and they did this extremely, really, really in-depth dive. They were able to trace. Now, I'm a woman, so the only one Ancestry can kind of do it from both, but it's not 100%. It's not really accurate. 23andMe can do it from both of you, but they did it for mapping the genome. So mine was through my mother's line, the mtDNA, and it went back from exactly what branch in Africa my ancestors came from, and then went up every other branch, and then tested quote unquote other hominoid DNA.
mtDNA, for those of you who don't know, is mitochondrial DNA, which only goes through your mother.
And then then there's Y for boys.
And there are only 7 different sets of mitochondrial DNA that exist, as far as we know, that have survived to antiquity. So there are 7 women's worth of mitochondrial DNA currently exist in all humans. That's insane. But let's come back to. I'd like to get a word in real quick.
And mine is so rare that they can pin it back to the woman that it came from.
So let's talk a little bit about like my issue and folkism, because like we've talked a little bit about Steven Anderson. Or not Steven Anderson. It's not. I'm trying to remember his freaking name. Fuck. I was watching Bosch earlier, so sorry about that.
Wolf, we need you.
Yeah, Wolf, we need you. The guy, I can't remember the heathen guy who founded the AFA. His name.
Oh, fuck. Hold on. I'm gonna Google it and have the FBI at my fucking door.
Because I know Flowers is involved there, and that like if you buy any books from him, that it supports the AFA at present because all his money goes into the trust fund. McNallen, thank you.
McNallen, that was Stephen it. Yeah, Stephen McNallen.
So Stephen McNallen actually has this really interesting sort of race soul idea that if you have any European blood in you whatsoever, then you can practice any European religion. But here's the weird thing about that. I constantly get told by folkists to go back and practice the Haida religion, but I'm half British. By that resolve, which one should I be practicing? Should I be practicing the dark blood, or should I be practicing the white blood? Because my father was a British immigrant, so I don't know what his blood is outside of that, apart from the fact that like there is aristocracy in my family. I don't talk about it, but on his side there is.
I also want to make a distinction here. We're not going after like ancestor veneration. Like that.
No, we're not going after ancestor veneration.
Yeah, that is fucking valid.
We were talking about people who think it is only possible. You can only practice a religion if you have quote unquote. And I hate this term. I hate the term blood because it's not blood. It's your DNA, maybe. But even with your DNA, when you get those ancestry tests, they're looking for specific gene lines.
It's not even blood. They do spit.
Yeah, they do spit, but they're also looking at very specific gene lines and where they come from. So if they tell you you're 60% one thing, that just means that you have genes in the specific spots they looked at. That doesn't mean that 60% of your DNA, 98% of your DNA is shared with chimpanzees. You want to talk about when you're looking at that little 2% that distinguishes us as humans, when you're looking at that tiny little sliver, some of those genes have regional markers, and that's where they can pinpoint ancestry from. But even that's not an exact science because humans have been fucking each other on trade routes for all of history.
Right. And I got lucky. My mtDNA strand is extremely rare.
Juliana goes, what is the spiritual one drop rule? Yes, yeah. I am Native American. Like, I am treated as you know what? I'm treated as a red person here in Washington because I look native. You look at a picture of me, Jen's seen one. Gaius has met me. I look like I'm Native American.
I've seen you on video. I mean,
yeah, like I look like I'm Native American from the Pacific Northwest. Our tribes are lighter skinned, most of us. Like, I don't look like I'm Cherokee. If I go to the South, I would probably pass as white. Up here, I fucking don't. Right? Like, I've dealt with racism my whole goddamn life.
But like Juliana said, the one drop rule. If that's the case, if we still went by the one drop rule, then I'm black.
Yeah.
Who is anybody going to sit here and fucking turn around and say, well, Jen's black? No. No. We're not. Allie's more of a fucking POC than my ass is.
Yeah, I'm a half-breed. And here's the thing, though. It's like, which of those religions am I entitled to? Like, under McNallen's rule, I should be allowed to worship the Greek gods because they're in Europe. Right? But, Greek folkists say that I should go back to worshiping Haida because I'm not... Like, I should go back to worshiping the Haida religion, which, by the way, I'm a multi-traditionalist. I've talked about this before. I will not share anything about my Haida faith, like, in well,
yours is also
the
a closed
channel.
faith, right?
Yes, it's a closed tradition, and I do not have permission from the elders of my tribe, nor am I fully integrated into my tribe in such a way where I grew up partially with the culture with my family, but we're exiles from the culture because my great-grandpa pulled us off the rolls. So, like, we have traditions and language that have been preserved, but I don't have permission to teach even my family's versions of those things from tribal elders, so I'm not going to talk about them.
But then if you want to go by this one drop rule, right? Can y'all help me out? What do I got in me? I have Roman.
I mean, that's a
Slavic.
Black One's got a good point. If we go by the one drop rule, is anyone white?
Is anyone white?
How far back do you have to go for that drop to be there?
Yep. Now y'all can help me out. Okay, McNallen, help me out. I have Scandinavian blood. What do we got next? We just did red. I got Scandinavian blood. I have Roman blood. I have Anglo-Saxon blood. I have Celtic blood. I have Slavic blood. So where do I fall? And if we really want to get into it, if we really want to drop down to it, the Kievan Rus converted to Christianity very early on. So does that mean that because of my family, because they were part of the Kievan Rus region, is that all I'm allowed to practice is Christianity?
$20 super chat from Nathan Souza. Also, your language is coming from the same root as Iranian and some Indian languages tells us that even linguistically there is no such thing as Euro-purity. Proto-Indo-European, the reconstructed theoretical language, is a thing. Yes, so I'm going to specify Proto-Indo-European is not, as far as we know, a culture. However, Proto-Indo-European in terms of language theory does show that they do come from similar roots.
Gaius, I don't know. I know the region. My family has stayed in one region of Ireland for as far back as I can draw. So I don't know.
But just because let's talk another point. Just because your family stayed there doesn't mean they didn't fuck people who were there on trade routes. That doesn't mean that somebody's daddy wasn't who they thought they were.
Holy shit. Like, yeah, I'm from that old school Italian family.
Hell, that doesn't even mean that somebody's mother is not who they thought they were, because when mothers would die in childbirth, and aunts and uncles and fucking random people in the goddamn village would adopt babies all the time.
She hid her kid's father because he obviously, when you look at the children, when you looked at the 7 kids she had, their father was clearly a POC, was clearly black. But looking at me, and we didn't talk about this shit. My family, my family was kind of Southern racist. They were kind of European racist too. So we didn't talk about this. So a lot of what these motherfuckers are coming at are these old family traditions, are these old tall tales, and the same tall tales of, I'm native.
Mama's been keeping Milkman in closets since before closets had even Milkman.
Let me fucking tell y'all, the women in my family are whores. It would not fucking surprise me if who thought who was the daddy was not up in my family.
But let's not even lay all the blame on the fate of the women. If women fucking die in childbirth or abandon their fucking kids, or babies in whorehouses that get adopted by people, people have been adopting babies and children, young fucking children that can't remember shit for time immemorial. Sometimes mommy's not who you thought she was.
I'm researching my family history, right? So I'm researching my great grandfather, and I knew he was married to my great grandmother, but they've been here a while, so I get the records.
Let's face it, like Victoria, also, monogamy has not always been standard for all of history.
But I found out before he married my great grandmother, he was married before and had a child, but didn't take responsibility for this child. So now this child is raised by her next husband, thinking her next husband was her father.
Mm-hmm.
This is but that's what it comes down to me is, either you look at your last name.
People like my family, my grandma, she had 7 different husbands, right? She went through 7 different husbands. 2 of them died. 5 of them were fucking deadbeats. She raised 5 kids by her fucking self, right? Not a single fucking dad in the picture. Not a single one of them.
And then you go into my ex-husband's family, right? And I trace.
Keep in mind, this is your fucking World War II. She lost one of her husbands in one of the World Wars. I want to say World War II.
I was able to trace one branch of my family and one branch of my ex-husband's family literally back to
yes, Marrow, 7. Thousands. One of them 7. One of them twice.
The thousands, 900s, thousands. They actually have records of 2 sides of our family for this. And when you come back into it, my family's part Scandinavian. They came from, I think, it might have been Norway, or I can't remember now. It's either Norway or Denmark, and invaded England. Do you think that they didn't go on their trips and their Viking raids and not sleep with people? I don't know.
Something 2/3 of Europe or some shit like that has Genghis Khan's DNA.
Right. So when it comes down to this is but it fucks me up the most.
There are about 100,000 drops of blood in a human, so the 1 drop rule goes back about 17 generations. Thank you, Akeda, for the math.
So with that, then, according to these fuckheads, I qualify. as being a POC, which I'm fucking not. But it gets to me
because POC is a societal designation as much as anything. I'm a POC here, but I wouldn't count as one in the South.
I don't get it mainly with Americans, because with Europeans, you guys can actually kind of say, and it's more about heritage. I know it's more about ethnicity in Europe than it is about race. But especially with Americans, like there's, what are we looking at? Oh, we're still on pink. Okay, cool. Especially with Americans, there was so much intermingling. There was so much.
A one gene rule would look like none of us are fucking human, because 98% of our DNA is not human.
Like, literally, we from the fucking beginning of the colonization period of American history, it's not like people just picked random spots in the country to go to. They all came into these little port towns. They came into all the, mainly Massachusetts, Virginia, up and down Maryland. They came into these little port towns.
Variant says Slav squad. Vikings also settled and diffused into nearly every culture they raided, so they have found blood as far south
as Egypt, right?
I mean, Egypt also has Greek blood going all through it and Roman blood going all through it, if you want to make a distinction between the two, which there was a cultural distinction between the two.
So, especially with Americans, they would all come into these port cities, and a lot of the time it wasn't families. It was single men and women that didn't see a future for themselves in Europe and decided to come over for a new life, or they were given monetary incentive to come and settle. So you meet these people from all over fucking Europe, all over the fucking world. How the fuck can you sit here and say I'm allowed to practice heathenry? I'm allowed to practice Hellenism. Whatever the fuck you want to pull out. I'm allowed to practice this because this is what my bloodline is, and that's
Cometicism.
Cometicism is
Egypt,
right?
And that's not white people, but it is something that not a lot of people talk about. And Celery did an excellent video on it. Go check out Celery's Garden if you guys have not seen that channel.
Yes.
Her videos are par excellence.
I know people who still worship Sol Invictus, the Sol Invictus religion.
But even if you guys are talking about, like, I want to hammer this home about the genetic testing thing, because a lot of people are way too hung up on that stuff. Even if your blood was, say, like, let's say on my side, right? We don't know who the fuck else my fucking, like, hoe of a great-great-grandmother fucked, because, my family has a crazy story. I've told it before on Q&A streams. If you guys ever want to find out about my heritage, I've told that story before on one of the Q&A streams. Go watch all of them, because that's awesome and gives, like, help for the channel, but also because they're a lot of fun, and you'll find it eventually in there. Like, the thing is, you don't necessarily know, even with those genetic tests, those are just the genes you inherited.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean that you are any percentage of that particular thing. That just means that at some point you got that gene.
That's just whatever lingered in your blood over the course of time. There could be others that's what lingered in your
cells. So, like, you could, for example, Jen could conceivably, like, let's say, Jen could conceivably have a Cherokee ancestor 4 generations back and just not inherited a single one of their genes because her ancestor was mixed.
Or the fact that I could have inherited the genes, but they're so diluted down at this point that it's not picking up on a test.
So Fishy says, I found out my family is from Denmark. I'm literally descended from Odin, and I can say my religion is only for white people, and everyone here should oath to me. I've heard said unironically.
Like, when you
the test only tell what you receive. So, like, your mom could potentially test as, like, more Russian, for example. Like, she might have more of those genes, and your test might look radically different, even though she's your fucking mom.
She could test way more Turkish and Iranian than I did. She could be fucking double, triple that, because that's what kind of stuck with her.
And those tests also don't tell you what genes got activated for you. Just which ones you have.
The Genome Project did.
The Genome Project does test epigenetics, but most of the genetic tests that you can get, the 23andMe, they don't test epigenetically what gene. For example, I have celiac. I will test for that gene, but the thing is you can have 2 copies of that gene, and epigenetically, nothing activates them, so you don't get the disorder.
When you go to the more mass-marketed ones like 23andMe, like Ancestry, like there's a fucking other one I can't remember the name of, but when you go to the more mass-marketed ones, they just take your DNA as a whole. They don't separate out the mtDNA or the Y-DNA being male or female. They test it as a whole. So you're now getting all this shit fucking thrown in at you.
And mitochondrial DNA is much, much, much more stable. So, like, if you're talking about mitochondrial DNA, that's going to tell you where you go way further back.
Right. So, but you've now got DNA from both parents, so you've got now double that shit. Double that shit to dilute down even further whatever the fuck may be in you. Like,
but, like, if I manage to have
a kid...
if I manage to have a kid with one of my partners, it's possible that they don't actually inherit any of the Haida genes that I have because I'm half Haida. So that kid could test on a DNA test that they have no Haida blood.
Purple. Like, all right, so when I did the genome project, none of the Mediterranean came up in me. None. Because they exclusively tested the mitochondrial DNA from my mother. But when I did Ancestry, it comes up because they're picking up shit on my dad. So who and if you looked at the difference between...
And again, they're looking at specific gene lines. They're not testing your whole genetic code. They're testing very specific gene lines that they themselves as a company have data on.
Right. But it was funny how when they combined the two, some of what I picked up from my mother from the Genome Project was lessened on the Ancestry test. It still picked up, but it was of a much lesser degree because they're testing different things. So it's really fucking hard to actually grasp, oh, this is what my DNA says, this is what I am. I don't consider myself Iranian. I don't consider myself Turkish. I don't, because I'm not.
You're New Yorker.
I'm New Yorker. Exactly. I'm New Yorker. I'm American. If you want to get into what I was culturally raised, I was culturally raised Irish and Italian. And I mean like culturally fucking raised that shit. Like shit from the old country kind of shit. But right, or cuz and that's because my family in the scope of things were very recent immigrants. Like the fucking elders were still around to kind of like pass this shit on.
Ikeda says, I haven't been tested because I don't care, and I hear the companies do questionable things with the information. We can do a whole stream on that in the future. We have all kinds of topics. But let me talk a little bit about my situation again, because let's get into the why. Because in my description and on Twitter, we obviously got super chatted into oblivion, so this show might be a little longer than normal. But I mentioned nationalism because, and let's connect the dots here a little bit. There's partially a reason why folkists feel this need to be special, right? Like. And part of it is the fact that, especially if your family goes back further, quote unquote, like if you were one of the original like colonialists or some of the, like one of the first like 10 waves or so that came in or something like that, if your blood goes way back in America, which, mine goes further back than any of y'all, just fucking saying, like I'm Haida.
Well, I mean,
you're some of the first natives who touched fucking
you're a
ground
fucking native. You want to talk about white people though,
you want to talk about the colonists. You want to talk about the colonists. If your blood goes back to the colonists, good for you, first off. Second, mine goes back further anyway. But, so you want to talk about go back where the fuck you came from. Or where the fuck am I supposed to go back, motherfucker? You were standing on the bones of my ancestors.
Okay, then give me your keys, bitch.
Yeah, you were standing on the bones of my fucking ancestors. You can go back the fuck where you came from. But which of the 20 countries? But when you're talking about this, though, also... I have that connection to my roots. You have that connection to your roots. You had the elders around, that kind of thing. People who go a little further back, I dislike the term American melting pot. It got brought up in the chat earlier because the thing is it's not combining a whole bunch of cultures into something. It's more like your culture gets melted off of you and you're left with consumerism for the most part, because America defined itself by primarily what you could consider religious values, Calvinism specifically, early on. Like, even though these things were not enshrined in the Constitution per se, culturally, America does have a very strong Calvinist religious Puritan bent. And because of that, consumerism has run rampant. And so a lot of people feel disconnected, especially because within the last 150 years or so, there's been this encouragement to step away from even the folksy traditions in a lot of areas. Like, think Appalachia still has some of them, but a lot of areas, especially if you grew up in a city, you don't want to be in an apartment with your fucking parents, like for the rest of your for generation upon generation. You don't necessarily, if you grew up on a farm, you don't necessarily want to take over your dad's farm, but go back further than that, and that was traditional in a lot of places.
And I'll tell you now, like, even going back to my family on both sides, my father's family, like I said, who I think they got here like 1620. Something like that.
And of course, this is the coalition, so the red flag's gonna get fucking flown, and Jen's gonna cringe because I'm still a fucking commie. But it does come back to capitalism.
It does, and
it disconnects you from heritage and culture.
But you were right. Like we go back to the 1600s from my family, and what did they do? They were farmers. Rhode Island, New Hampshire, They were farmers, that side of the family. And when the kids, hit 15, 16 and they got married, they didn't stay with their parents. They got their own farm and moved, a couple miles away. And that's eventually how we wound up, kind of moving on in. But when it came down to the New Yorkers, same thing. You got married 16 to 18, you got the fuck out of your parents' house because we were broke. We didn't have the fucking money to feed your wife and your kids now. So you got to go make your own.
But it's not even, well, and it's not even just that. It's also, like, it's not even just getting the hell out the house. It's also this idea that you get mass educated. So we're going to talk for a second, a little bit. And I actually want to do a stream with you, Jen, in the future. We need to plan when we're going to do it. Because
I'm going to try to figure out, Teal. Hold on.
About residential schools. Mm-hmm. Because as a Native American, this is a topic that hurts the fuck out of me to talk about. I'm going to get angry. I'm going to scream at my mic. You thought that Jen's rant was bad?
What does that color look like to you? Does that look something like teal? Okay.
It looks like teal.
Okay.
It looks like either teal or aquamarine, but that looks teal. But
okay,
like,
we're gonna go with that.
So we're going to do a stream at some point on residential schools, especially because they just found one in Canada with over 200 Native bodies, some as young as 3 years old. You guys are you think that Jen's rant was bad? Wait until y'all hear me get fucking angry. I will be British. I will be screaming at my mic. I will be extraordinarily mad. Because here's the thing. Kill the Indian to save the man. You want to talk about culture. You want to talk about heritage. You want to talk about trying to connect to your roots. My roots are still here. The bones of my ancestors are here. The land that I see around me, which we'll get into regionalism in a minute, the land that I see around me is the land upon which my ancestors' feet touched. For a lot of people, that's not the case. But there are still, like, echoes of that culture have still been erased. There are still roads where once there might have been family poles and longhouses. There are these ugly constructions that have been built over grave sites. That is a source of trauma, but it's also a source of identity because I still know those things are there. The stories that I was told are still about the landmarks that surround me. And when that's not the case, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not arguing for regionalism at all. But what I'm saying is, for a lot of people, when you move to another culture, when you move to an entirely different area and integrate into an entirely different culture, especially if that culture is mostly made up of consumerism, what you're going to be feeling often is this disconnection. You don't have, especially a few generations down, you might not even have the traditions from that culture that like your ancestors might have come from, like Jen does, like I do. Like, eventually, you're going to be raised in schools that are going to teach you a very specific view of history. You don't have the oral traditions that I do, that Jen does. You don't have the family stories, maybe.
And I'm gonna
you might have family stories on this land that you're standing on.
That's exactly how it is in New York. Because so many different cultures kind of got thrown in, they needed to be all-inclusive when it came down to their education, when it came down to living together, when it came down to working. So they started to erase individual and I'm talking on a larger scale, not sitting down and having the traditions passed on down at home. I'm talking about an institutionalized scale. There was
Kill
so
the
many
Indian to save the man.
Right. There were so many different cultures that suddenly it became amalgamated into the New York culture.
American school system is about making it monocultural. And granted, all through the United States, there's at least, I want to say, 15 different regional cultural groups that can easily be distinguished from one another. Pacific Northwest culture, Jen and I have shot the shit for hours over the phone. Pacific Northwest culture,
New York
there is
culture
nothing
is
fucking
very
like
distinctive. New York culture is extremely distinctive to the point that we literally have our own accent. We have our own language.
Well, we have something very, very similar up here. Like, we have, like, in the Pacific Northwest, we have a very distinctive set of values and attitudes and things that, like, you can tell the difference between a Washingtonian, a Califuck, and an Oregonian pretty damn easy. Like, the Pacific, like, these are both America, but the Pacific Northwest is wildly different from New York City, and both of us are completely fucking different from anywhere in Texas, including Austin, which is, like, the liberal capital of Texas.
Okay, I'm going to recommend putting this on an ad block because it's behind a, subscribe or using an ad blocker. So let me just paste here and make sure that if you do it on incognito, it works. I'm going to send Allie a article in our private chat that she'll push out to you guys that really fucking changed the way how I looked at the country. This is called The 11 Nations of the United States. It's 11 different regions of the United States, and it explains how each region is culturally different in the United States. why they're culturally different, how they're culturally different, how they see other regions. And when you really look at it, it's not 50 different states, it's 11 different regions of the country that are 11 that are just different. Fantastic fucking article, although I would say they do for ad blockers, so throw it behind an incog tab.
Well, and on top of that, like, let's talk a little bit about that when you connect that then with this obsession with DNA.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. I was like that.
Yeah, and let's talk about when you pair that with this obsession with DNA, right? Like, everybody was raised that you're talking about these American folkists. We're talking about people who have blood that goes back a little further into the U.S. You might even have some native blood in you fucking somewhere, like a couple of genes that you just didn't inherit. Right. Like, because let's face it, y'all were fucking raping us. That's the thing that happened. Like, when you're talking about that, you probably have some African American blood in there too, because that, again, that's just some shitty that our fucking ancestors did to each other. Like, that's a fucking thing. It's in there somewhere. I've got German in me somewhere. I have no idea where the fuck that came from. That's nowhere in my genetic tree, and yet it's there. It's like my mom looks German as fuck, but she's Haida. Mm-hmm. Where the hell did that come from? Who got it on with a German person? In my fucking, we don't know. You know, we talked at length in, like, Ocean and I both in our videos, and Wolf talked at length about the idea of how the hell could something as flimsy as DNA overwhelm the power of a disembodied mind with such incredible strength that they can do things like, you know, show people fucking memories in each other's dreams and, like, move fucking mountains, so to speak. Yeah. You know, like, the kinds of blessings that those of us who are pagan feel we experience on a daily fucking basis. Think, for any of you who've ever had a UPG, like, unverified personal gnosis, think about the incredible nature of that fucking experience and ask yourself if something as flimsy as DNA could possibly have fucking prevented that. Why would a god not be interested in you magically just because of, like, the letter sequences of the peptides in your cells? That does not make sense. But what does make sense is why folkists want it to matter. And that's what we need to talk about a little more when we're talking about these kinds of things. Because that disconnection from culture, that needed to feel like there is some kind of ancestral thing. Like, somebody brought up the Confederate flag in the South. Like, that doesn't make it not a shitty thing to cling to. That doesn't make, like, neo-Nazis that have German ancestry, like, and who claim that doesn't make that not a shitty thing to cling to. But we can extend our empathy to understand why, because if you want to deal with the problem at its root, you need to understand why. That's Stoicism 101, right? What can you control? What can't you control?
You and the fucking Stoicism.
We can't control, like, you know what, Jen? How many times has my advice from a Stoic perspective been fucking helpful? Like, nah, eat my whole ass, woman.
No, you got glutened. Absolutely not.
I absolutely did get gluten. I'm shocked that I have not had to run off yet.
Absolutely not. No, you've had gluten. No, I will not do that. I do not consent.
But, like, legit, when you guys are talking about this, when you come from a place of empathy, when you come from the root, what is causing this? What's causing this is a sense of disconnection, a desire to reconnect to something older, to something more stable, to something, because these people, much like the rest of us, and here, come on, guys, we're putting on a red cap. Let's get some fucking commie, like, let's get some sickles and stuck and stars in the chat for a sec. The thing is, capitalism and the nature of this country, America, from its inception, has taught you to not see, you're not German, you're not Haida, you're not fucking anything.
No, it became this.
But we don't have as much history here. We really don't.
You know what fucking blew my mind the first time I went to Europe?
I do not consent to gluten.
I do not consent to gluten. You know what fucking blew my mind the first time I went to Europe? I was in London.
You got gluten too, so meh.
I know. Fucking burritos. I'm walking through London, and one of my friends was like, you know that building is older than your country. And it was still, like, in use. Like, people were still fucking living in it. There was a building that people were still living in, families were still living in, that was older than the fucking United States. That's how fucking young we are. But
there are funerary poles and family poles that are older than this country. Yeah. That you can find on Haida Gwaii.
Yeah. Shit, my family's fucking older than this country. But how can I put this? We've formed this. Our country and our culture is still very young. We're teenagers. If you really want to look at it on the world scale, we're teenagers. And we're teenagers that have a history of coming from very oppressive households. So what tends to happen when you're a teenager, when you're 18, and you finally come out of a super oppressive household. You lose your fucking mind, right? You're this big badass thing, and fucking nobody can do it better than you, and I fucking know better because this, and that. That's exactly what it comes down to with Americans. It's, well, my ancestors were this and that makes me older and wiser than this very young culture that we have now grown up in. It's very Wild Wild West young fucking culture. Actually, no, I can't even say that because the Wild Wild West was had more fucking laws put in place that help people than we have today. But that's a big part of it.
Well,
but we're so out of control that I don't know if we're going to hit the maturity age.
But let's not even just talk about culture, because you know what? You go back 150 years, people still had a place in their societies. You were the farmer. Let's talk about people's last name. Farmer, baker, smith. Right? Like
if you want to get into Scandinavian, your last name was literally denoted by son or daughter. I believe Iceland still does that.
And so if you go back, one of the other things, let's talk about capitalism again. After the Industrial Revolution, especially.
No, that's turquoise. Okay, that's turquoise. Good to know.
So after the Industrial Revolution, especially, there's been this disconnection between what you do and who you are. Like, there's an amazing article out there. Google bullshit jobs. There's a fantastic article about, and we need to do a stream on that too, because that's one of the topics we've been taking forever, about bullshit jobs. Like, something like 50% of Americans feel like, and this is probably even worldwide at this point because of corporatization, feel like their job, if it didn't exist, like, there would be no difference. Like, there's so much bureaucracy and pencil pushing and everything because of companies and the like. People don't feel connected to their work. Now, Jen and I are both fucking lucky in that both of us do something that we love, that we feel fucking connected to, right? Like,
how many years did I have to work in shit that I didn't?
Yeah, right? Same here, right? Like, I went to fucking school and ended up not even, like, working in that field. But, like,
fucking hell.
If you're a fucking checker at a grocery store right now, like, for a few minutes, everybody acknowledged that you were an essential fucking worker, that you stocking the shelves was an essential fucking job. But, like, most of the time, does that feel like it's meaningful the majority of the time outside of a pandemic? Or does it feel like you're fucking replaceable? If you are running wires in a plane, does that feel like you are essential, or does that feel like anybody else could be trained to do that job? The Industrial Revolution was designed to disconnect us from our work. Those of us who are artists, who happen to be lucky enough to be making money off of our careers, we might even feel some of that disconnection when we do corporate work, or when we do topics that we're not as interested in.
That's why I don't do Twitch anymore, because I enjoy gaming, and then it started to feel like a job doing it on Twitch, and I was like, I'm seeing that creep. And I don't want that disconnection.
I mean, that's why my Twitch is so damn sporadic. Like, I show up when I feel like hanging out with y'all, but, like, I game by myself all the time. And, like, the reason for that is to help feel safe. I mean, like, my patrons can tell you. Anybody, like, sound off patrons, first off. Y'all are badasses. But, like, my patrons can tell you, I will do polls from time to time about what y'all actually want to hear when I'm feeling indecisive. But if I'm not feeling indecisive, I will just decide what topic I'm going to do regardless. Because if I don't keep that level of creative control over my channel, I won't want to do it anymore. Like, there are times where I get so passionate about something that I have to do a video on it, regardless of how bad. There's, like, the teetering tile of unmade topics, like video topics that I've mentioned in other videos, it is, like, looming over me, and it's going to fall on my head one of these days. But legit, just because people wanted me to do that topic, and just because I was excited about it at one point, doesn't necessarily mean that there's not something that I might feel is more important now. Patrons actually voted for me to do a daily practices of Hellenism, and I had such an insecurity about it that I ended up doing the video about whether or not you're doing enough for the gods, because I felt like that was so impactful for me that I needed to share that with you guys.
Right. But not everyone has that opportunity.
Yeah, not everybody's lucky enough to be doing something that they love, where they feel like they're making a legitimate impact in the world. I feel like I have made a difference in people's lives, and you all have beaten that into my head. So, you know what? Take your fucking victories where you get it, because you don't get to be right all that often. I'm starting to feel it. Like, I'm starting to actually accept it, because I keep getting it beaten over my head every goddamn day, whether I like it or not, by random people that are amazing. Honestly, you guys are fucking amazing. But most people don't feel that. And so if you don't feel that, and you don't feel connected to any sort of tradition, and you're told that tradition is meaning, and you're taught this, like, let's talk about Christianity, you're taught that there's this, like, thing that doesn't, has no fucking connection whatsoever to the land or to your ancestors or anything else that matters so much more than you, what are you going to turn to? Because you know something's wrong and you're looking for fucking answers, but you're not being told the system's fucking rigged against you. You're not being told you're disconnected from your job. You're not being taught about the alienation of labor. In fact, if somebody talks to you about that, you have been trained from birth to reject that shit as communist propaganda and to reject that shit as anti-American, which is the one identity you have. So what are you going to look for?
So what do you look for? You look for something to cling to.
You look for something solid that feels physical.
Right.
And then we come back to folkism and genes.
But what you have to, especially with Americans, what you have to do, what you have to make sure you don't do, is that you don't cling to just one. Because nobody's one-dimensional like that. My attitude, my experiences with the world, my accent, I'm really fortunate because I was able to be exposed to so many different ethnicities, so many different cultures, and it made me a more multidimensional person. I'm blessed for that. But when you sit here and you cherry pick that little fucking pussy willow branch and you say, this is what I am, that makes you completely fucking one-dimensional. Like, and it makes you fucking boring. That's that blue. That's the new blue with that. That's the new blue. It makes you one-dimensional, and then it puts you in denial about who you are. So when you sit here and you become a folkist, and you find, especially as an American, and you find this little fucking branch on your tree, and you're like, oh, I'm Danish, I'm Scandinavian, I'm Egyptian. You are now closing yourself off to exposure and growth within yourself as well. So not only are you doing a fucking injustice to the people that you're gatekeeping on, you're doing it to your fucking self. You're literally cutting yourself off from finding things out about you and finding things out about your past and your cultures that could benefit you, that can help you grow as a person, that can help you understand things. And especially like when I started going into especially the Polish and Slavic backgrounds of my mother's family, because I didn't grow up with them. But once I started learning what their traditions were and how they would react to things and how they saw things in their culture, it helped me understand my mother more. It helped me understand myself more from mannerisms that I picked up. Because I refused to just cut myself off and say, I'm only Italian, I'm only British, I'm only Polish. Ukrainian, depending on who the fuck now you ask in the family.
But I mean, like, and here's the thing is, like, work we've been taught is supposed to be drudgery, but, like, you know, when people talk about feeling like work, writing feels like work to me, but I still love it more than anything in the world. This channel is work to me, but I still love it more than anything in the world. It's about autonomy, and that's the thing that we're missing here. It's about autonomy. It's about you choosing to do that and it making you feel good to have made that choice. And that autonomy has been largely stripped from a lot of us, right? Like, that is one of the things that you see over and over with, like, folkists and with people who feel a certain type of way. Like, when you look at the people who are looking for some kind of, like, meaning, and when we, as people who are outside of it, look at that, what you're seeing is disconnection. You're seeing a loss of autonomy.
Right. But I'm still stuck on the question. And you're seeing that loss of meaning. I'm still stuck on the question when it comes to folkists in America. What about that specific one small branch of your family made you decide that this is all you were, and now you can gatekeep this?
I don't even think it's that, though. And here's where I'm about to get into. Here's the mind blow. Here is the atomic bomb going off in your guys' brains. Because we talked a bit, like, I hinted at this a little bit when I talked about people, like, growing up in generational homes and shit, like, being tied to the land in that way. Right? Like, we talked about that a little bit. Mm-hmm. When you get into that, there's a communalism there. There's a community. It's the small village, small town mentality. Like, even small towns nowadays still have this disconnection, but, like, when you talk about villages,
they're looking for that belonging, something that's familiar
and
to
what
them.
folkism tells you is that tiny little branch makes you special. You're descended from the gods. And then you find your folkish community, right? And people are going to clip this the fuck out of context, but you find your folkish community and they say, you're special, you're one of us. We are gathering, you know, using the AFA, we are getting an ingathering of the folk. People who are like you are the question only latent
that I have is, isn't your DNA diluted, therefore not making you as pure? So what gives you the ability to gatekeep?
The fact that you felt the call. The fact that you felt the call.
Oh, fuck out of here, really?
That is it. You felt the call. You became a part of this community that is the gatekeeper. You felt the call. That makes you special, and you need to go wake up, quote unquote, the other people to create this massive movement. And once you become a part of that, that becomes your community. And of course, much like any other cultish type movement, much like the alt-right,
so what happens?
About the alt-right pipeline, your new views are going to drive other people out of your life, which means that now your life is more and more a part of that community.
What happens if somebody felt the call and they found this one fucking ancestor from Scandinavia and say, this, I felt the call, this is now I can gatekeep? What if they find out, if they actually researched it, that this person wasn't from there?
Well, it doesn't matter. You're from Europe. As long as you're from Europe, we're back to
I know that there's some say Europe, but then some break it down even further to Scandinavian kind of shit.
Well, if you find out you're not from there, then you're devastated and you have to move on to worshiping a whole different set of gods because you don't have a right to. All that connection was fake. That's what they say. But here's the thing. That community, that communal aspect, which is something that people have found on the Xenia Bridge without having to be racist fucks, like that communal aspect, that especially IRL community, because a lot of folkish groups are IRL communities. Like the AFA has a bunch of chapters all over. They do prison outreach. They make you feel like you are part of something bigger than yourself.
The fact that they do prison outreach is fucking horrifying.
Yeah, they do. It's absolutely horrifying. So like when a certain somebody said the AFA keeps to themselves, that's absolutely a fucking lie. They do prison outreach. You can find it on their website. They talk about it. But like, that's what they do. And so you have this disconnected person who doesn't have tradition, who was told about the value of tradition from the moment that they're born. Because let's face it, folkism is connected to conservatism. Fucking folkish groups talk about don't intermarry because keeping the purity of the white race, because most of them are white. They talk, like, the AFA actually has provisions against intermarriage. You have to have your own fucking children, etc. You've got the great replacement shit, which one of these days we need to do a video on that. Like, there's all these things that try to, by isolating you into this insular community, try to recraft your identity into that.
I'm seeing a side chat happening that's getting heated. I'm just going to put out there, borders have been drawn, boundaries have been drawn to ask this person to stop. And if you don't, I will just remove you from the situation. You have been asked to stop multiple times. Stop bringing up this thing. Stop arguing this point. People have drawn boundaries and you keep fucking going. If you go again, I will fucking call your ass out and I will put an end to it. Deal? Go ahead, Allie. I'm sorry.
And so, like, that's part of the reason that when you're talking about folkism, you can't just attack the nonsense of the ideas, because it's not just about ideas, it's about identity. Because a lot of people have been disconnected from their identity, and they're taught that tradition and blood mean something. Those eugenics ideas are baked into the American fucking culture from birth. That's the reason why blood quantum is a thing.
But it just doesn't make fucking sense to me, because none of them are pure anything. You're not fucking pure, and you're not sitting here and I can do this because I have this. You don't have enough to gatekeep in you. So by their own account, you've got to, and it's not just the AFA. Like I'm saying shit like, especially, and this happens a lot when it comes down to like Italian families, Irish families, shit like that, where they only want you to marry Italians, they only want you to marry Irish people, so on and so on.
Yeah, you can see this in religion sometimes too. You can see this with Catholicism. Right. Like, but actually,
we're so intermixed here that how could anybody be pure anything to keep the bloodlines pure? It's impossible. It's fucking impossible, and that's why this shit makes absolutely no fucking sense when it comes to fucking Americans. Like, we're so fucking intermixed. We're so fucking mixed. This shit doesn't make sense. Your fucking argument is done. Your argument is fucking done. Because I can literally sit here, open your fucking family tree and be like, oh, but you're not. What about this? What about this? Why aren't you standing up for this? What about this? So you're not pure anything. You're not, you want to go back far enough. I mean, fucking, you're not. And I don't understand how something on such a frail argument stands.
I just explained how it stands.
I know.
If you're that desperate and that alone, and
I
let's face it, most
but it's like
the majority of folkists are men, and like cis white men, the vast majority of them struggle with a lot of these, problems.
I get that,
because
but
they've
it's
also been
still
promised
like
the world their entire life.
It's my approach on coming to shit. I come to shit with very black and white, but you know, it's these same men.
Game, check out my video on folkism and Ocean Keltoy's video on folkism. We both go into that.
But it's like, especially when they come at this with like logic and science, because it's usually cis white educated men that fucking come at this shit. And it's like, and I'm like, but you're not even fucking applying it to you because it's a, you know, cognitive dissonance. But whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, it's about identity. It's about the need for community. And the thing is there, like, I would appeal to any folkists out there. There are healthier ways to do that than gatekeeping the fucking religion from other people. There are healthier ways to, even the folkists that say they keep to themselves, like, let's say you're one of the like regionalists or something that like say you fucking keep to yourself.
But excuse me.
There are healthier ways to connect.
But do they keep it to themselves? They don't keep it to themselves. Because what they do is, even though they're not coming out on a broad scale and they're not sitting on fucking YouTube or they're not fucking platforming this, when they have children, they teach their children this, and they teach the people around them this, and the people that come to them for education, they teach these people this. So they're not keeping it to themselves. They're still carrying this on.
And so when you're talking about debunking folkism, when you're talking about dealing with people, we can make logical arguments all we want. And we often do. And sometimes people are swayed by that. But if you're deep enough in it, what people are looking for genuinely is community. And once you're deep enough in it, like any other kind of cultish mentality, like the alt-right, like so many other of these groups that look so batshit insane to us from the outside, like how could somebody have fallen so deep into that? What they found was identity and community. Incels found identity and community. You know, the hardcore alt-right, that's the last of our lights.
Yep.
The hardcore alt-right found identity and community. That's what you find over and over and over again. And so what can we do? What can we do?
Call that shit out.
Not only call that shit out.
That bitch, fuck off.
Not only call that shit out, but our willingness to engage in these arguments, not necessarily directly with the folkists themselves, but against the ideas, means that somebody might stumble across our work and see that and find an alternative community or find an alternative mindset before they get sucked into this shit, before they end up finding that so toxic, codependent community that's going to tell them that they're special and then basically suck them dry.
And it, honestly, and I know it seems small, but reach out to the people in your life and let them know that they're special just for being them. Because that's really all it takes sometimes to stop somebody who may be feeling lonely, somebody who may be feeling isolated, stopping them from seeking out something like this and being vulnerable to something like this is literally just reaching out and being there. Be mindful of the people around you. Be mindful of those you care about to make sure that they're not emotionally put in a position where they could be taken advantage of.
And Shenanigans actually has a really great thing. Facts do not change behaviors, feelings, and stories do. Our narratives about ourselves are what you can prove to an anti-masker all of the statistics you fucking want, but if that's a part of their alt-right identity, then they're going to keep screaming about how they don't want to wear a mask, even if they're scared to death that they're going to get COVID. Because they want to belong.
You gotta, even, and you know, I know a lot of our audience is like, well, I don't have a platform, I don't have this, so how do I help? Even if it's just a one-on-one with just people in your life, where you turn around and say, hey, you know, we're all human, everyone's got their shit. If I got a problem with some of your shit and it ain't vibing right with my shit, let's fucking talk about it. Not argue about it, let's talk about it.
Check on that friend that you had a healthy friendship with, and I'm saying healthy friendship because, like, if somebody's a shit cam, you should not be extending out your spoons for them.
Yeah, fuck them. If they're a shit cam,
check on that healthy friend that you haven't talked to in a month.
Yeah, exactly. So we're down to our last light. Do you want to start doing the wrap up here? Because we went over. Okay.
So let's talk about some shill shit. Like let's talk about some serious shill shit. Jen, you're back. What are you doing?
I'm back. I will be attempting to do 2 videos a week, if not 1 video a week. The next one coming up is going to be about kink and pride. And just, yeah. It's about kink and pride and kink spaces at Pride and how the kink community came up with the LGBTQIA community. So that's going to be the first one. I think I'm releasing that Tuesday. And I'm going to try for Thursday to tackle some of these extremely oppressive abortion bans and abortion rules that are happening in the United States and the slippery slope on these.
Akeda says, I miss this so much. I hope you're on the downhill with the side of your dick.
I'm getting there, Akeda. But talking about how what's happening is the country is slowly banning abortion in practice, even though it hasn't banned abortion as law. So that's what's coming.
MUI, thank you so much for linking Jen's channel. Please go sub to her. There's 137 of you. There's also only 104 likes on my screen. Fix that, please.
Yes.
Drop down into the comments after the stream ends and
that's what's going to be happening this week is kink of pride and abortion. So Jen is jumping right back into the fucking hot seat with everything immediately.
Jen, you don't know how to not be on fire. Like, if you're not on fire, something ain't fucking right.
Something ain't fucking right. What do you got coming up, Allie?
So what I got coming up is actually patrons voted on this. I was going to do a video on a particular folkist gathering that happens every year, but I decided that because of some shit that's going on in my life, which I ain't gonna get into because there's just y'all know that I lost an animal. Patrons know that there's been some other stuff going on that I've detailed a little bit. I don't want to get into the specifics of everything, but I needed a breather for another week before I jump back into the hot seat myself. So I'm actually going to be doing a 10 things you probably didn't know about Athena video. Ooh. And I'm going to be talking about my patron goddess who I love so fucking much, and some myths and stories and facts you've probably never heard about her, because a lot of people just think wisdom and warfare and the Iliad and the Odyssey, but there's some really interesting stuff even within those texts, let alone all of the mythology outside of it, that brings a lot of depth to who she is as a goddess. So for those of you who have a relationship with her or even are just curious about ancient Greek mythology, did you know, for example, just as a hint, that she had an adopted son? Mm-hmm. And that he was at one point the king of Athens, and how that came to be. Mythology is weird. There's going to be a rated X video in some portions because mythology is weird. But if you guys are curious about that, that's what I'm going to be doing this week. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you guys so much for how supportive you've been. Real quick,
Victoria, I am actually going to touch on something very similar to that in the abortion video. So absolutely send it over, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was right along the same lines as to what I'm touching up on. And yes, thank you all so much for coming out. I missed fucking doing this, and I'm glad that I'm doing. Let's face it,
this was an excuse. This is an excuse for us to hang out every week.
Like, I'm glad that I'm doing okay enough to be back. I'm not 100% in the clear yet, but we're getting there. And it's like I said, I'm trying to do 2 videos a week, but it may be brought down to 1 just because I got to take that break, and I'm gonna take that fucking break. So.
So, like, this show has been a cornerstone of the channel. Like, literally the day that my friends all ganged up on me to tell me not to leave the fucking, like, the community after I was made to feel like nothing following the channel that shall not be named, I mentioned that I had the little seed of an idea for the real work I wanted to do if I was going to do that. And I even had a name. And the second that I mentioned that, Jen jumped on that shit because I said I might need to find a co-host. It was like 2 in the fucking morning, so we were just Jen jumped on that shit and was like, "I'm your fucking co-host. We're doing the first episode within 2 weeks of you starting your channel." And this show has been... And now it's a year later. Yeah, now it's a year later, and I'm monetized after less than 6 fucking months of the channel being in existence. You know, originally, like, we're almost at 6,000 fucking subscribers. This show's been going, like, we've hardly missed any apart from when Jen's been having health issues, which we've been monitoring together. Jen has been keeping me up on that shit. I'm just not telling y'all because...
Yeah, because it ain't none of y'all fucking business.
None of y'all's fucking business. But for those of you who keep asking me if Jen's okay, I can tell you whether or not she's okay at any given time. I'm just not going to give you any more than that. Details. So... May Aaron Hygea bless you, Jen. Thank you so much, Akeda. That's your heathen and your Hellenism to make sure you got both sides of that.
I love that. So, make sure you got both.
Honestly, like, I was originally going to do a Saturday kind of like 1-year Q&A channel birthday stream, and Jen was like, "Nah, we're doing the fucking coalition, bitch."
No, yeah, so we did this. Fuck that.
We did that. And to be honest, this is almost better just because this show is a cornerstone of the channel. I would not be where I am without Jen. So, welcome back, Jen. There's not a more appropriate time that you could have come back, sandwiched between the worst day of my life and one of the better ones.
You mean like this? Sandwiched like this? Like the necklace?
So, and for those of you who have been around since the beginning or very close to it, thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for helping me get to the point where I could make this my full-time job, where Jen could make this her full-time job, because Jen gets a split of the royalties from this show. All the super chats we split half of.
Tonight, y'all fucking killed it.
Yeah, even if we can't get monetization from views from fucking ad revenue and shit, y'all more than made up for an entire month. You better fucking pay for your food,
Ikeda,
guys.
I'll just say it's in the middle of the month. I'm weird about my personal information like that, but it's around the middle of the month.
So I just want to say, even though we're coming up on 2 hours, thank you guys so much for your support.
Yes,
Here's to another year.
Welcome
back, Jen. We got some big rebranding coming out. Patrons have been seeing previews of it. We're going to be getting a whole new intro for the channel. We're getting a whole new intro for the show. We're ringing in the channel new year, so to speak, with a big bang, and that's coming over the next 2, 3, 4 months, depending on how long it takes my artist to finish things up, because I've been working with an artist. We're getting 32 new emotes. We're getting a completely brand new logo for the show that's lined up a little more with what we're doing for the coalition now. We're getting brand new logos for all of my series, except you guys have seen the logo for Film Crusade. That's done by the new artist. So I'm getting new banners, everything else. We are taking some of that support that y'all are giving us, and I'm putting it into good shit for this.
It's all going back to this. Thank you all so much, so much. I miss doing this so much. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight.
Thank you guys again. Remember, we built the coalition. Now let's fight.
Let's fight.
We're stronger together.